Last time we saw how Savitri's mother was anguished. She definitely sensed that something is wrong, something not very auspicious, something perilous is going to happen shortly, and she insisted to know what that could be, which also means that she is fully aware of the fact that Narad knows it and he can tell it. He knows it and he can tell it. Now, that is the way in which Narad is presented to us in all our Puranic or mythological descriptions. A person, a sage who has the knowledge of all the three divisions of time, the past, the present, the future. He has Trikala Drishti. He has access to all the parts in the world and he knows what is happening where. Every detail he is aware of it. And the fact that he is coming specifically to Ashwapati's palace, it means that he is coming with some definite message, with some definite idea in connection with the marriage of Savitri with Satyavan. So she has already figured out he is coming here, although she says he has been a bright arrival. Obviously, Savitri is going to get married with her chosen partner, and it is a bright arrival for her, and she expects a bright news. But the way in which the things were going on, she says she sees that it is not going to be all that bright, all that bright. And therefore, she says, a terror ominous mute felt more than seen behind our seat by day, our couch by night. A terror more ominous. This is what she is already sensing in the whole affair, you see. The anguish of the unseen that waits to strike, anguish of the unseen that waits to strike, and therefore her human pleading is, please let us know what that is, what that terror is, what that ominous terror is. To know is best, however hard to bear. I mean, that is the kind of a aphoristic statement she is making. To know is best, however hard to bear. Well, we really don't know whether it is good to know. If something is going to happen tomorrow, very dangerous, very perilous, and if we are made aware of it in advance, I don't know whether it is good for us. I don't know. But certainly it is good for them who are prepared, who have developed certain capacities to withstand all the whims and fancies of time, the workings of fate. They know that they can perhaps apply themselves and meet that dangerous hour. And therefore, from that point of view, Savitri's mother sees that she has a capacity to bear the impact of the future, even if it is going to be ominous. That is what she is revealing here. Perhaps it might be a misplaced confidence in herself that to know is best. It may be, but it is kind of natural for a mother to say that. And she is asserting that, let me know what the danger is tomorrow. I am keen to know about that. She is therefore insisting on that thing. And in response to that, then cried the sage, piercing the mother's heart. He has to shoot the arrow, he has to throw the spear into the breast of this lady. He has to do that. Then cried the sage, but at the same time, piercing the mother's heart. It is a very cruel kind of a thing to let a mother know that there is something going to be wrong with your daughter tomorrow, and the mother may not be able to withstand the impact of it, but at the same time, it is the word of the sage. That is very important. Narad as a sage. So when it comes from the sage, it also means that it brings along with it the redeeming power. It also brings along with it the redeeming power. Yes, it may be bad, but when the sage is saying, he is not telling you something in a very cruel manner, so to say. He also brings with him the necessary help for it on that occasion. Therefore, see, he says, he doesn't say, then cried Narad. He doesn't say that. He says, this sage. The poet says, then cried Narad, piercing the mother's heart. You see, that wouldn't do. Although poetically it may be acceptable, it has to be the sage. You see, the emphasis on that, forcing to steal the will of Savitri. Forcing to steal. Steal is used here as a verb. Steal is used here as a verb. To steal, which means that making it inflexible. Her determination firm. Nothing can shake it. Now Savitri has already chosen, has already decided, yet it is possible that because of the emotions involved, because of her mother, she might get shaken up. She might sway away from her decision. There is a little likelihood of the human element interfering into the whole process, and Narad has to see that Savitri does not change her determination. That's the whole crux. She must stick on to what she has said. She said, this is done. This is what we have seen earlier. This is done. She was telling it to her father, 106.75. Yeah. My father, I have chosen. This is done. See, very short phrases, very precise phrases, making the full impact. My father, I have chosen. Finished. There is no question of making any change now in that. And this is done. So she is already firm in her will. Yet there could be the possibility of that getting affected due to human impacts. And Narad has to make sure, he has to guarantee that she does not change her will. In other words, he wants Savitri to stick on to her decision for his own reason. His word set free. Now she says, will. Savitri's will. That is again very important. Savitri's will. See, what has happened, what led her to have that will is another matter. But she has already willed that she must be with Satyavan. Her inner soul, or whatever you want to call it, has come forward, and this will is important. See, his word set free the spring of cosmic fate. The spring of cosmic fate. His word, whatever he is going to speak now, that is going to let the machinery of fate unroll. The spring is tightened, it has to be loosened, the key is there, and now things have to roll on further. In other words, fate was waiting until now for this key to be released, and that has come from Narad. Fate, everything is fixed. but it is locked. It is locked. And that had to be loosened, that had to be taken out. And it is Narad who is, in that sense, really instrumental in letting the fate roll on its course. It has to move on and do its own work. Until then, fate is also helpless. Fate is also helpless. You see, yeah, see, that is what it means. He set free, you see, the spring of cosmic fate, and now he is again very particular, cosmic. He is very particular. It is not the individual, it is not Savitri's fate, it is not she is her, etc. It is the whole cosmos is involved in that particular action of Savitri, in that particular decision of Savitri. So, this cosmic fate and her stealing, the will, they are all interlinked. Savitri's will is in the context of cosmic fate. Savitri's will, it is not her personal will also, it is in the context of the cosmic fate itself. Fate has to be set free. That is the important thing. Then the great gods use the pain of human hearts as a sharp axe to hew the cosmic road. Again, cosmic road. You see, that is how the road is cut. And yes, you are suffering, you are miserable, you may weep and cry and all that kind of a thing. It doesn't matter in the greatness of the vision and work of the gods. Gods have set in front of them something and they have to carry on that work irrespective of the human reaction, human misery, human suffering. If it is there, it's solid. It is a sort of necessary thing for things to move forward. And therefore, human heart, pain of human heart, obviously, this pain of human heart here specifically applies to Savitri's mother. Savitri herself is not affected by that, Savitri's mother. But that itself becomes now instrumental to take the cosmic fate forward. They squander lavishly men's blood and tears for a moment's purpose in the fateful work. In the fateful work, for a moment's purpose. Yes, today you are suffering, it's all right, but the work has to go on. It has to go on, you see. Well, this is our whole history is full of that. Squander lavishly men's blood. You see, that is how the entire history of the world is presented to us. Well, it's all right. There are wars, there are murders, killing, etc., whatever you want to call them, you see. But they are meant to take the road forward. All these things. For a moment's purpose in the fateful work. Again, he repeats once more. You see, this is important. This cosmic nature's balance is not ours. It is not in the hands of human beings. There is somebody else who is taking care of everything. Not the mystic measure of her need and use. Not the mystic measure of her need. Her stands for nature. Her stands for nature. This cosmic nature's balance is not ours, nor the mystic measure of nature's need and nature's use. It is somebody else, because who is involved? Great gods. Great gods are involved here, and it is they who will take care of everything, you see. Now, here, when he says great gods, they are still not really supramental gods. They are overmental gods. Because it is in the context of cosmic. It is in the context of cosmic. Cosmic. You see, 3 times you use the word cosmic, cosmic, cosmic. Cosmic fate, cosmic road, cosmic nature. It is in the universal context. It is the overmental gods who are involved in that. See. Well, in a way, it is perfectly understandable also they had to be over mental gods. Because in the state of evolution in which we are, the supramental gods don't have the necessary instrumental capabilities here. We are not instruments yet for them to work out their things. So it is through the cosmic God they will work, if at all they have to work here. And then he continues, a single word lets loose vast agency, a casual act determines the world's fate. Well, that single word of Narad is really going to change the entire course of the evolutionary history. It is an epochal word. It is going to change, bring out a new epoch. A single word lets loose vast agencies. A casual act. Of course, Narad is not a casual act. It is a very deliberate act. It is a purposeful act. He came to steal the will of Savitri. To steal the will of Savitri. Therefore, it is not really casual, although the poet is talking in a general sense. A casual act determined the world's fate. So now he is set free destiny. Set free destiny. Again, set free destiny. It is destiny which is tied up. It is cosmic fate which is locked up. It was keyed up, but the key had to be released. The button had to be pressed, and then the spring pulls out. Same thing, the destiny was locked until now. It has been set free, you see. So, in fact, this set free and the other one, that cosmic fate, the spring of cosmic fate, they are in a way interlinked, they are together, you see. Now, there is something important also. Let us take this line itself. He set free destiny. This phrase, he set free destiny. Now, for the sake of argument, we may ask a question. Had Narad not come, would the destiny have remained locked, bound? Would things not have happened the way they are supposed to happen after Narad's arrival? In other words, it tells us the most significant thing which has happened in the cosmic play, that there is somebody somewhere who can be a good instrument of the gods to do what is required to be done in this case. Had Narad not come, it is difficult to say what would have happened. Savitri was definitely firm in her will. Ashwapati might have seen the shadow chased by the stupendous light, and then he would have definitely said, Savitri, okay, it is your choice. I had told you to find out your own choice, so I can't say no to your choice. And he would have definitely given his daughter in marriage to Satyavan. All that thing would have happened. And obviously, the day of his death after 1 year for the marriage would have arrived. Then, in the absence of this knowledge, in the absence of this firming up of Savitri's will by Narad, what would have happened to Savitri? What would have happened to Savitri?
She would have been unprepared.
Pardon?
She would have been unprepared.
Yeah, she would have been totally unprepared. She would have been totally unprepared, you see, in spite of all that. Not only unprepared, the crucial thing is when Narad is saying a word, a single word lets loose, a single word lets loose. It is not just telling Savitri that, look, Savitri, 1 year after the marriage, your husband will die. It is not just that. He is also putting his force in the soul of Savitri to get herself ready for that particular day. He is putting his force in her soul. In other words, the single word letting loose vast agencies means that Savitri is initiated on the path of yoga. By knowing this, Savitri undertakes the yoga to meet that eventuality. Otherwise, she had perhaps no inkling, no idea, no business to do yoga, so to say, you see. She would not have just done anything at all. She would not have been really prepared. But that particular word now makes her do the yoga which is required to meet that hour. And these are the vast agencies. These are the vast agencies which he has set free. Savitri is now ready to do the yoga. And vast agencies and cosmic destiny, free destiny, all that thing is locked into that thing, one thing. In other words, Nara's arrival is not simply bringing a chit from heaven and passing it on to Savitri. It also means that he is putting his force, he is initiating Savitri into yoga. That is the most crucial thing which has happened in the case of Nara. In Sanskrit, we would say that Narad has given to Savitri Diksha. Diksha. Yes, Savitri, you have to do yoga. Initiation. Diksha means initiation. Or in that context, you could say that Narad, although he calls here a sage, he is in fact, in that sense, Dikshita, the one who initiates, the initiator, Dikshita. Narad is the initiator, making Savitri do her yoga, in that sense. The great gods, yes, this is what the great gods have done. This is what the great gods have done. Savitri has to get ready for the eventuality by doing yoga. That is the thing which the great gods have done, you see. This cosmic nature's balance is not ours, not the mystic measure of her need and use. A single word lets loose vast agency. See, this is such a powerful line. You see, in many, many directions it flows, you see. A casual act determined the world's fate. So now he set destiny, free destiny in that hour. And see the beauty of the poetry. So now he set free destiny. He doesn't say destiny is free. See, the force which comes by changing the position of the adjective of the verb, you see, of the action. He doesn't say he set destiny free. That would be too prosaic. It wouldn't carry that force at all, you see. He set free destiny in that hour. The emphasis now comes more on free than on destiny. That is the crucial thing. The emphasis comes more on free than on destiny. Well, destiny is there, but yes, you see. Then, of course, he says, the truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. This is again poetically very beautiful line. The truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. That is how the meter will, the line will scan. The truth, that is the first syllable, first foot. Thou hast claimed, that is the second foot. I give, that is the third foot. To thee, that is the fourth foot. and the truth. In other words, this line is first foot is the truth. I am. Thou hast claimed is an anapist. I give to thee the truth. See, it is kind of a forceful ascension of the truth itself. The truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. You see, yes, you want that truth. I am giving you that truth. You see, the whole force comes in that composition, metrical composition of line. Not only that, see the way in which he has built the line. The entire is monosyllabic line. Each word, there are no two syllables in a word here, you see. Truth, thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. All monosyllabic syllables, you see. It is a thing, it is a technique, poetic technique, which lends additional power to his utterance. What he is saying, he'll give that additional power by using that poetic technique of monosyllabic line. It is a perfect, pure monosyllabic line, and it is an ascending line. The truth thou hast claimed, I give to thee the truth. You see. A marvel to the meeting of earth and heavens. Now he is, of course, becoming a little lyrical, Narad. A marvel to the meeting of earth and heaven is he whom Savitri hath chosen mid men. His figure is the front of nature's march. A single being excels the work of time. Excel the work of time. That is the nature of Satyavan. Narad knows him already. That is the nature of his single being, excel the works of time. He is far, far, far ahead of time. On the evolutionary path, he is far ahead of the entire course of evolution. Works of time, that is what has happened. He is far ahead of all that. His single being excels the works of time. Now he says his single being, single. There is something very unique about him. He is as if on the pioneer, the vanguard, right in the front of the whole march of evolution, excel the works of time. His figure in the front, in fact, he says his figure the front of nature's march. He is on the vanguard, front of nature's march. On the evolutionary path, he has really taken a great leap forward already. Is he whom Savitri had chosen mid men. So the contrast is there. Mid men, well, they are lagging far behind. They are not yet the works of time. Men are not yet the works of time. They are still lagging far behind, you see. His figure, a marvel, the meeting. Now, he is talking of the meeting itself of Satyavan and Savitri. This is something very unique, something very desirable, something significant which has happened. We have already seen that when Satyavan and Savitri come together, the God touched in time. The God touched in time. And that is the meeting of earth and heaven. Earth and heaven. Dyava, Prithvi. Prithvi, that is earth. Dyava means heaven. It is heaven and earth. They are coming together in this meeting. His figure in the front of nature's march, his single being excel the works of time. A sapphire cutting from the sleep of heaven, delightful is the soul of Satyavan, a ray out of the rapturous infinite, a silent, waking to a hymn of joy. A divinity and kingliness guard his brow, his eyes keep a memory from a world of bliss. Now, before we go into these things, let me tell you how the Mahabharata story speaks of Satyavan in this context. It's very interesting, and exactly the same thing has been brought out in a different manner. In the Mahabharata story, as we have seen earlier, Savitri has come back to the palace. What had happened in the forest, etc., that is not given to us here. But Savitri has returned. It means that Ashwapati is fully aware that she has accomplished her mission. And when she enters the palace, she sees her father in the company of Narad. And Narad asks, who is this who comes and all that, you see. And then she discloses to her parents about the youth she met in the Shalva forest. And then the first utterance which Narad makes on hearing the name of Satyavan, he says, Aho bat mahat papam. What a great curse, what a great calamity that Savitri has chosen this boy. That is how he begins in the Mahabharata. The first utterance of Narad is that, Aho but mahat papam. It is a great calamity that Savitri has chosen this boy. That is how it starts. Something accursed that forebodes a great evil. He speaks of that. And then the king asked me, king asked him, all right, maybe, but let us know what kind of this youth is. Ashwapati is asking Narad, because Narad knows everything. He has already seen everything, he knows everybody, every nook and corner of the universe he knows it. And the king asked him, is Prince Satyavan affectionate towards his father? Is he well bright? Is he intelligent? Is he of a forbearing nature that he can stand the impact of life? Is he heroic in deed? This is what Ashwapati is asking Narad. And Narad replies in answer to them, he is bright shining like the sun god himself. Satyavan is bright like the sun god himself, Vivasvana, and quick and sharp in intelligence, like Brahaspati, like Brahma himself. He is very sharp in intelligence. And in valiance, in heroic deeds, he is a hero warrior like Indra. He is forbearing in the manner of the earth, the way the earth supports the entire humankind with all its difficulties and its mortality, and she accepts that thing as a lot. In the same manner, this boy is also very forbearing in his nature. Any calamity, he will be able to bear it the way the earth bears it. And then Ashwapati asked him, is Satyavan also a giver of gifts, charities? He's asking one by one. And is he the respecter of the learned? Is Satyavan the giver of gifts, presents to people? I mean, any learned man, does he generously give to them whatever is required? He is a man of means, but he should not hold them back like a miser. He should be able to give to the deserving, you see. Is he like that, you see? And is he a respecter of the learned, of excellent features, noble and generous, good looking, handsome? He is asking all the details because Ashwapati has not seen them. Savitri has not told. And then Narad says, like Rantideva, he is munificent. He is very generous to give anything. Even the last bit of his cloth, if you want, he'll give like that, you see. Like Shibi, he is a counselor of the truth. He will always give wise advice to people, you see. And is established in Brahmanhood. He is established in eternity itself. Like Yati, he is exceedingly bounteous, free gifting like that, and is beautiful like the moon. The son of Dhumasena, he is strong in build, he is handsome, he is as beautiful as Ashwini Kumara. They are supposed to be extremely beautiful. So he is as if one of the Ashwini Kumars who has come and taken birth here. He has subdued his passions. Already he is advanced that thing. He is soft-natured, is a youth of heroic deeds, is full of truth, Satyavan, and has regulated senses. All his passions, they are under his control, you see. He is friendly with everybody, without envy to anybody. He is of a reserved disposition. He will not come forward aggressively and impose himself on others. He is radiant. Those who have advanced in spiritual practices, in tapasya, the rishis of the forest, they speak of him very greatly, of his virtuous nobility. There is something greatly spiritual in him, they speak of him. Say briefly about him that he is always straightforward, is steadfast, is well established in high qualities. That is how Narad is describing Satyavan. And we have a similar passage here in Shivanu Savitri at a different level though. A marvel of the meeting, earth and heavens, is he whom Savitri has chosen with men. It means that it is a great thing what Savitri has done. Savitri has chosen the right person. That is a great compliment to Savitri herself, that she has chosen Satyavan. Has chosen with men, his figure is the front of nature's march, his single being excelled the works of time, a sapphire cutting from the sleep of heaven. Now this is a mystical line, a sapphire cutting from the sleep of heaven. See, amongst general description, suddenly you have a mystical tone in poetry, deeply mystical. It is basically occult mystical. A sapphire cutting from, I will tell you, a sapphire cutting from the sleep of a delightful is the soul of Satyavan. Well, that is understandable. A ray of the rapturous infinite, that is also straightforward. A silence waking to a hymn of joy. See, again, you see the difference in these two lines. A sapphire cutting from the sleep of heaven, a silence waking to a hymn of joy. The poetry is of a different type. The mystical element is of a different type. This is mystic poetry. Whereas these two lines are, you might say, generally narrative. They are kind of generally narrative lines. But these lines, a sapphire cutting and a silence, they take you to a different level of poetry altogether, of mystical experience altogether. A sapphire cutting means chip. You have got a block of sapphire and he has been kind of, a chip has been made from the sapphire block, and here is Tava. That is what the plain meaning of sleep of heaven. Now, what all that means is what we have to see. But before that, it will again take this line. A silence waking to a hymn of joy. All along things had remained dormant, asleep. But with the coming of Satyavan, a joy, a hymn of joy is to begin. A new day will arrive, which will be a hymn of joy, a praise of joy, applause of joy. It is with that we'll start here. Now, a sapphire cutting, sapphire of course you know, is a brilliant blue, deep blue. Sapphire. It is basically, in terms of chemical formula, it is silicon dioxide doped with some chemical, some elements. I will not go into that. Brilliant blue. Now, the brilliant blue or sapphire is described in the mystical poetry like this. Light in the sense of awakening into the activity of the limitless divine consciousness. Sapphire, that blue, means light in the sense of awakening into activity. Awakening into activity, what we got here. Awakening into activity. Or the limitless divine consciousness. That is a great compliment. Divine consciousness. Awakening into the limitless divine consciousness. That is what the word sapphire connotes here. Awakening into the divine consciousness. So therefore, when he is bringing that chip of that from the rock of sapphire, a chip is brought. It is really awakening into the divine consciousness, limitless divine consciousness. Now, this definition of sapphire is by Aryabha. I don't know whether you heard of his name or not, Aryabha. He was a British philosopher who had come and settled down in the ashram in the 1930s. His original name was John Chadwick. Sri Aurobindo gave him the name Aryabha to John Chadwick. And in the 1930s, he opened himself out suddenly to great mystic spiritual poetry. He wrote large number of poems, and Sri Aurobindo has extensively commented on each and every of his poems, practically on most of his poems. There is a book also by him. Sri Aurobindo has commented and remarked, this is this, this is that, etc., etc., like that. Very fine, excellent, like that, you see. And he passed away in 1941 or 42, something like that, you see. And they had good exchanges of letters between Sri Aurobindo and Aryabha on poetry, basically. And in one of the letters, he asked about the meaning, the significance of certain colors and gems, ruby, sapphire, topaz, what they mean, you see. And this is one of the definitions he got it. In fact, this what I have read out is from his definition, Aryabha's definition, on the basis of what he got from Sri Aurobindo. He says, light in the sense of awakening into activity or the limitless divine consciousness. That is the sapphire cutting. He has come here from heaven. A sapphire cutting to the sleep of heaven, delightful to the soul of Satyavan. Say that is all right, but this line, now he says sleep of heaven. This is again very significant. Sapphire we have seen. Sleep is a technical word. It is not just sleep. Sleep in the Mandukya Upanishad, 4 states of consciousness are described. The waking state, the dream state, the sleep state, and beyond, the ineffable. The waking, the dream, then the sleep, and then the beyond. Waking, what is called Jagrata. We are seeing all these kind of things. The outer consciousness. Dream consciousness, something which happens within us and sees things in a different manner. That is the dream. Swapna. Second is the swapna. The third is sleep, or what we call sushupti. Sushupti. That is the sleep. Sushupti means the deep sense of withdrawn wisdom, full of knowledge. It is called also prajna consciousness. Prajna consciousness, sushupti. And beyond that is the ineffable. Beyond is the ineffable. So he is actually from that prajna consciousness he is coming here with a sapphire color. Sleep of heaven, full of wisdom of heaven, prajna. The apprehending consciousness. That is what it means. Apprehending consciousness. He will immediately grasp what these things are. Everything here. Delightful is the soul of Satyavan, a ray out of the rapturous infinite silence speaking to him of joy. And then, of course, Narad goes on, a divinity and kingliness guard his brow. His eyes keep a memory from a world of bliss. Yes, he has come here on earth, but he is actually coming from a world of bliss, from Ananda Jaga, Ananda Loka. He is coming from that place, from Ananda Loka. And although he has taken a mortal birth, the human birth, his eyes tell you that there is something else in him of that heavenly nature. World of bliss. Very powerful phrase again. World of bliss. He's coming from that, and his eyes show that, if you are able to see that, I mean, you see. And perhaps Savitri too saw that. Although she has not said that way in the encounter with Satyavan. But Narad sees it with a different vision. Savitri was more enamored by the love aspect of it and not of the bliss of that. So she perhaps didn't see it from that point of view. As brilliant as a lonely moon in heaven. This is what we have seen. Now he is describing the qualities of Satyavan. Gentle with the sweet bud that spring desires, pure like a stream that kisses silent bank. He takes with bright surprise spirit and sense. The phenomenal world, the secular world, the spiritual world, he takes both of them with equal embrace. With equal embrace. This is very lyrical. Narada is very lyrical here. Now, this is a lyrical poetry which is not really present in any of the Western epics. Western epics are severe and kind of detached. That joy of expression is not. Milton, he wouldn't be able to write this kind of a thing at all. He doesn't really believe it. His tone is very severe, stern. His language is like that, pakka. But the element of mysticism with lyrical joy, that is the uniqueness of Shaivendu's epic Savitri. A brilliant, lonely. See, that is that we don't have even here in Mahabharata. We are saying it is a kind of a matter of fact expression, but here this is absolutely lyrical. You see, brilliant as a lonely moon in heaven, gentle like the sweet bud that spring desires, pure like a stream that kisses silent bank. So he has described his brilliance, he has described his sweetness, he has described his purity. See, his purity, his sweetness, his brilliance. He takes with bright surprise, spirit and sense. Normally, there is a dichotomy between spirit and sense. But no, for him, he is able to embrace together. A living knot of golden paradise, a blue immense. He leans to the longing world, time's joy, borrowed out of eternity. This is what Satyavan has come here. He has brought eternity's joy here into time. A star of splendor or a rose of bliss. Now you can see the contrast between the description which we have got here and what Shivandu is describing about Satyavan. You see. Time's joy borrowed out of eternity. Yes, his joy comes because he has always said his eyes reflect the world of bliss. So naturally, his joy is borrowed from eternity. A star of splendor or a rose of bliss. That is what he is. In him, soul and nature, equal presences. Soul is one presence, nature is another presence. They are equal. Balanced and fused in a wide harmony. So there is no the conflict between soul and nature in him. You see. He was asked, is he of a forbearing nature? Is he able to do all that kind of thing? He is describing here. In him, soul and nature, equal presences, balanced and fused in a wide harmony. The happy in their bright ether had not hearts more sweet and true than this of mortal make, than this of mortal make. He is of a mortal make, but his happiness is not even available to the happy. Even to the happy, that sweetness and that truth is not available. That is his quality. More sweet and true than this of mortal make. Yeah, let us go back to this line. A living not of golden paradise. Well, a blue immense, he leans to the longing world. He is the immense, and he is leaning down to the longing world. That is what the plain meaning of the line is. Borrowed out of eternity that we have seen. Now, this is something very unusual, and only a great master can write a phrase like this, a blue immense. Only a great master can write a phrase like that. The poetic technique is most powerful here. Now, immense is an adjective, and Shivandu is using it here as a noun. A blue immense, a blue immense. He is using it as a noun here. Now, this is something which is very unusual. You see, it is not a blue immense. You see, for instance, had this I been a small I, lowercase I, then I could have said that a blue immense means blue, which is a noun. But he doesn't mean that. Blue is an adjective and immense is a noun. He makes it absolutely sure also by putting that I capital. A blue immense. Now, adjective used as a noun, this is second instance in Savitri. The first instance is 10.21. Now, last sentence, 10.21. Now, here we have here, our minds hush to a bright omniscient. Fourth line from the bottom. Our minds hush to a bright omniscient. A bright omniscient. Omniscient is an adjective. Is an adjective, which is used here as a noun. Shivandu uses it here. To a bright omniscient. See, here we have a blue immense. I could see so far at least only two instances where the adjective used as a noun, you see, without the definite article. You see, normally you can use an adjective as a noun with a definite article, the crooked. Crooked is an adjective, the crooked, the wise, the beautiful. You can use that thing, but it is normally with the definite article. But without the definite article, to use it as a noun, this is something, a blue to a bright omniscient, a blue immense, a, you see. He doesn't use the definite article. You see, had he said simply the blue immense, then it would have passed grammatically. Grammatically. But see what happens if you say the blue immense, I mean the whole poetic charm is lost completely gone. If you replace a with the poet is totally gone. You see? A blue immense lean to the longing world. Now, I have here one prose sentence from Sri Aurobindo, where he uses the adjective as a noun. I will read the sentence. All spiritual experience affirms that there is a permanent, above the transience of this manifold world. Above the transience of this manifold world, there is a permanent. He is using permanent now as a noun here, as an adjective. This is from the Riddle of the Worlds, Sri Aurobindo's long essay which he has answered. In fact, we'll see that Riddle of the World later on in this context with him. The Riddle of the World. So, sometimes, the poetic master, the master of poetry can take artistic liberties like that and bring out something different which has a very powerful effect. A blue immense is a very, very wonderful phrase, you see. See, now for instance, now this one, this is very common. This is not, very unusual. The happy. See, happy is an adjective, but the moment you say the happy, it's all right. You see. But still, it doesn't have that poetic impact, you see. Yeah, okay, now, his peace carries a light of the inner truth and a large-eyed communion with the power in common things has made veilless his mind, a seer in earth shapes of garbless deity. Again, you see the high spiritual quality of such a one. His speech carries the light of the inner truth. He is already an accomplished person in his spiritual realizations. And a large-eyed communion with a power in common things has made veilless his mind, a seer in earth shapes. So, even in this earthly shape, what does he see there? The garbage, the deity which has not put on any robe, any cloth. He sees even in the physical objects, the divinity which is lying there is present there. See. Therefore, he says communion. That identification is there in every case. A tranquil breath of sky, windless and still, sky, windless and still, and in that his breath is tranquil. See, it means very, very sober, very developed personality in his nature and outward character. Watching the world like a mind of unplumbed thought, a silent space, musing and luminous, uncovered with the morning to delight, a green tangle of trees upon a happy hill, made into a murmuring nest of southern wind. These are his images and parallels. Well, with all that kind of a description, finally what is this? What I am telling you are just images. The reality which is there flaming in him, that cannot be conveyed by these images. He is much more than that. See. These are his images and parallels. His skin in beauty and in depth his pierce. Now, this phrase, A tranquil breath of sky, windless and still, windless and still. That is the phrase from the Gita. Windless and still. The Gita describes the accomplished yogin who is withdrawn, Stita Prajna, that his consciousness is plain, is steady in a windless space. Plain in a windless space. Let me read that phrase from the Gita. As a lamp in a windless place does not flicker, the flame does not flicker in a windless space. He says, Yatha Deepo Nivatastho Nyengate. That is the phrase from the Gita. Yatha, the way Deepo, the flame, Nivatastho, burns steadily without flickering. Nyengate, burn. It is in that manner he is here. Means he has already done, Satyavan has already done the yoga of the Gita. He is already a master of the yoga of the Gita, that he has accomplished this thing. You see. A tranquil breath of sky, windless and still, watching the world like a mind of unplumbed thought. A silent space musing and luminous, uncovered with the morning to delight. A green tangle of trees upon a happy hill made into a murmuring nest of southern wind. These are his images and parallel, his skin in beauty and in depth his peers. Now, this is again, as I told you, most lyrical. It is impossible for a Milton to have such lines in his Paradise Lost, you see. It is impossible. This kind of lyricism which is there, you see. This is what you would say the Kalidasian touch which Sriaurobindo was trying to bring into English poetry. The Kalidasian touch. He says, I have been trying to bring, as far as possible in English, the Valmiki and Kalidasian touch into poetry. Valmiki's poetry is also lyrical, not Vyasa's poetry. So that way, here we have got a wonderful example how the Kalidasian can come here. Miltonic epic doesn't have this lyricism. Johnson, the famous British critic of poetry, he would not have liked this lyricism at all. He said, this is not epic at all. He would have said, this is nonsense. He would have said, Johnson. Would not, really? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. In matter of fact, be firm, strict, you see. According to him, the epic should be, as I said, grave and severe. Epic should be grave and severe. That is the prescription of Johnson to the writer of an epic poetry. So Sriaurobindo does not pass that scripture, that test at all, you see. Tranquil breath of sky, windless and still, watching the world like a mind of unplumbed thought. A silence with musing and luminous, uncovered with the morning to delight. A green tangle of trees upon a happy hill, made into a murmuring nest by southern winds, you see. Murmuring nest by southern winds. These are his images and parallel, his skin in beauty and in depth his peers. Now, see, although this is lyricism, it is not just spiritual or mystical lyricism. This is the lyricism which is coming from a very high level of overhead poetry. Overhead poetry. It is not from here, it is coming from a very high plane of spiritual poetry. This whole passage particularly, you can see the power of the spirituality in this line. There is nothing mystical, there is nothing symbolic, there is nothing surrealistic here. It is sheer descriptive poetry coming from, straight from the overhead poetry. A will to climb lifts a delight to live, Heaven's height, companion of earth beauty's charm, an aspiration to the immortal's air, an aspiration to the immortal's air. That is what it is. It is that which can lift you up, lain on the lap of mortal ecstasy. Yes, mortal ecstasy itself can lift up to the immortal's air. His sweetness and his joy attract all hearts to live with his own in a glad tenancy. His strength is like a tower built to reach heaven, a Godhead quarried from the stones of life. Well, indescribable, you see. A sweetness and joy. Sweetness, what we would call madhurya in Sanskrit. Joy, harsha. So we have got madhurya and harsha, which is attracting all the hearts. To live with his own in a glad tenancy, his strength, his virya, shaurya. He is like a tower built to reach heaven. So that is what the temple towers, the building towers should do. They should be able to reach heaven. A Godhead quarried from the stones of life. So this is the whole description of Satyavan. So lofty, so exceptional, so noble. But then, oh loss. Narad is now saying, Aho Bat Mahat Papam. What we have got in Rasa Savitri to begin with, Aho Bat Mahat Papam. Oh, what a calamitous thing. Now that has come here. Oh loss. Aho Bat Mahat Papam. If death into its elements of which his gracious envelope was built, shatter this vase before it breathes its sweets. Before that vase could breathe sweets, it will get shattered by death. If death, he says if death, it means yes, it is going to be so. It is not if, it is going to be so. If death into its element, into its true nature, of which his gracious envelope was built, Satyavan's soul, Satyavan's body, Satyavan's being was built with very special qualities, with special elements, and those special elements are going to get knocked by death. Oh loss, if death into its elements, of which his gracious envelope was built, shatter this mass before it breathes its sweet, as if earth could not keep too long from heaven a treasure thus unique, loaned by the gods. He was loaned by the god of the earth, but the earth is not in a position to keep it too long. A being so rare or so divine in make, divine in make. All the whole divinity is present in him. The avataric nature of Satyavan is what you see here. Mother has said, no, he is the permanent avatar. Satyavan is the permanent avatar. A being so rare. Now, oh lost if death into his elements of which his gracious envelope was built. We have already seen that thing. Rare is the cup, fit for a nectar's wine. No? Where did that thing go? Yeah.
But when he says here, can I just say something? When he says here, unique, loaned by the gods, could not keep too long from heaven. Savitri also has these qualities.
Yeah, but he is now describing at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. But he says the qualities that could not be kept too long from heaven.
Yeah.
It would apply to Savitri as well.
But I think still the qualities of Savitri, the divine qualities of Savitri, are of a different kind than the divine qualities of Satyavan.
Yeah, that would make a difference.
There is a difference between the two. See, there is a difference between the two. See, there has to be. Otherwise, where is the question of union? See, they have to be also. Now, this one we have already seen. No, let us see again quickly. 102.57. Rare is a cup fit for love's nectar wine. This is what Savitri has seen in him. Rare is the cup fit for nectar's wine. And how is this cup prepared? A soul made ready through 1,000 years. It takes 1,000 years to prepare such a cup. Is a living mode of a supreme descent. So, of which his gracious envelope was built, shatter this vase, that cup, before it breathes its sweets. As if earth could not keep too long from heaven a treasure thus unique, loved by the gods. A being so rare, again he says, so being so rare, rare is the cup, a being so rare.
It's prepared 1,000 years and then it can live only 1 year.
Pardon?
1,000 years preparation for only 1 year.
Yeah, it takes 1,000 years.
Less.
Yeah. A being so rare or so divine a make. And then Narad comes to his business. In one brief year, when this bright hour flies back, yes, today I am saying something, when this hour comes back 1 year from today, and perches careless in a branch of time, perches careless in a branch of time. This hour will come back like a bird and will perch on a branch of time. Branch of time where the death is to take place. Satyavan dies under the tree, and above the tree on the branch is time waiting for that to happen. Perches on a branch of time. The sovereign glory ends, heaven lent to earth. The splendor vanishes from the mortal sky. That is the moment of the death. It will occur under the branch of a tree, banyan tree, the kingly tree. Satyavan death occurs under the kingly tree, banyan tree, branch of time. The splendor vanishes from the mortal sky. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. That is the sad story of this mortal world. That is the sad part of our life. You see, heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. Well, that happened to all the avatars. Christ died. Heaven's greatness came. He had to suffer. He has to go back, but was too great to stay. And then he comes to the business. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. That is the word Narad is delivering. He hastened all the way from his home in paradise to Madra to deliver this word. Yes, Satyavan must die. He has to die. Now again, as I told you, in fact that is the last line of the first canto. This was the day when Satyavan must die. Satyavan must die. As if in the whole epic, it keeps on ringing like a toll. Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die. Throughout all the pages, you kind of hear that sound of the gong. Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die. Satyavan must die. It is not that Satyavan will die. It is not Satyavan will die. Satyavan will die, well, that has no meaning. Everybody dies. But he must die. In other words, there is a definite purpose behind his death. There is a definite purpose behind it. He must die. See, when Sri Aurobindo used to have sessions with his attendants after the accident, half a dozen attendants used to sit around him for a while and kind of chit-chat or gossip or whatever you want to call it, on every kind of a thing. So on one occasion, Purani asked him about Satyavan's death, A.B. Purani. And then Sri Aurobindo said, but Satyavan has to die. In the context of the Savitri tale, he tells him, but Satyavan has to die. That is what he said. Here he says Satyavan must die. Has to die, must die. See, the same thing. It is not will die. That is important. Must carries all the power in it for the future. The cosmic spring, the destiny is set free, and for that destiny to be set free, he must die. He must die. If the springs have to move on, if the fate has to move on forward, you see. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. Let us see it. Now, this is a very poetic line. In fact, that line, this was the day when Satyavan must die. The last line of the first canto, this was the day when Satyavan must die. Shivandu gives that thing as an example of the barest kind of poetry, without any decoration, poetic decoration in it. This was the day when Satyavan must die. Absolutely plain, simple language. No simile, no metaphor, no color, nothing. And when somebody asked him, would you like to change that line? It looks too bare. And he said, even if you give me the crown of a laureate, I am not going to change that line. I am not going to change that line, you see. It has to be that way. The power of the bareness has to come out fully, you see. Here also is something, same thing.
Then Homer would have approved of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Severe.
Yeah. Kavi Samrat, he said, even if you give me the crown, the title of a Kavi Samrat, the crown of a laureate, no, I don't want. This line has to be like that, you see. This was the day when Satyavan must die. This day is returning, Satyavan must. Now, there are you can see that bareness of line. In the days prior to this type of poetry, maybe about 150 years ago, one Bengali poet, he had translated the whole of Mahabharata into English poetry. Very beautiful, very powerful also. And of course, he has translated the Savitri tale also into Bengali. Now you see how he describes in his narrative about the death of Satyavan. I will read that couplet. You see, Ramesh Chandra Dutt. He says, fatal fault, Narad is saying, fatal fault or destined sorrow. For it is decreed on high, on this day, a 12-month later, this fated prince will die. This fated prince will die. Fatal fault. There is something very calamitous. There is a cleavage in his life somewhere. Destined sorrow. For it is decreed on high, on this day, a 12-month later, this fated prince will die. Now you see the difference in the quality of poetry. See the difference. Now this is a different meter also. It is a different. It is a rhymed couplet. What is called the heroic couplet. In fact, not this couplet. It is a Locksley Hall meter basically, which is very popular in some means of 15 syllables. Each line is of 15 syllables, and he has really done a very beautiful job in that meter. But later on, when Ramesh Chandra Dutt came to see some of Shivandu's poetry, not too late, but very early poetry of Shivandu, he said that had I known this poetry, I would not have written this stuff. I would not have written this stuff, you see. That is a great compliment in itself. Yeah, I would not have written this stuff. Now, there are a couple of points here. In one brief year, when this bright hour flies back, he says, now one brief year, means a very short time they will be together. 1 year only, short. One cycle of time. All the seasons have to roll out, so to say. 1 year means that all the seasons, 6 seasons, have to roll out for this thing to happen. When this bright hour, this is the important thing. Narad is making the prophecy in the bright hour. And this bright hour is going to return. So, although it is the death of Satyavan, it is embedded in the bright hour. It is embedded in the bright hour, see. Flies back. It has to come back, this bright hour, see. And perch is careless on a branch of time that we have seen. This sovereign glory, this great glory which has come here, heaven, land, this splendor vanishes from the mortal sky, it has to go away in this bright hour. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great, etc. Now this bright hour is important. When this bright hour, now in that sense, Narad has already fixed the time of the death of Satyavan. Fixed the time of death of Satyavan. Yeah. When this bright hour comes back, it has to happen. This has to happen. I am speaking now, so it is from that moment onward, the moment of the utterance of the prophecy. It is from that moment onward, he is given 12 months, 1 year. And purchase, then he says 12 swift-winged months. He is more precise here. Instead of a year, here it was a year, brief year. Now he has come down to more specific thing, 12 months. Now there is a difference between 1 year and 12 months. There is a difference or not? Huh? No? No? There is no difference? Yes, it is. There is a difference between, see, it's like saying 1 year and 12 months, there is a difference between the two. It's like saying, I will come in 5 minutes. And I will come in 300 seconds. There is a difference of that. There is a difference between the two. I will come in 5 minutes. It means that 5 minutes plus or minus half a minute. Roughly, you see. When I say 300 seconds, it means that 300 seconds plus or minus half a second. So, saying 300 seconds is more precise than saying 5 minutes. It is more precise. So, that precision has come now here. What we are here, a brief year, is a more general statement. I will come in 5 minutes. I will come in 300 seconds. It has become more specific in that case. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This is important. Given to him and her. When they are united together, from that moment onward, this will happen in 12 months. In 12 months. This day returning. Now you see, from months has come back to day. Again, more precise. First you had the year, then you had the month, now he comes to the day. He is making more and more precise, you see that way. This day returning. Today I have come here. Exactly on this day, 1 year after that, this is going to happen. So in other words, this is a great clue for Savitri. Savitri has to count her companionship with Satyavan from that moment onward. If she has to prepare and meet eventuality, she has to count each and every day from that moment onward. 365 days or what you want to call it. And she has to be ready for that thing, you see. Now, we have a more specific description in Vyasa Savitri. When on the fated day, Satyavan and Savitri go to the forest together, and Savitri has already counted the day on which it's going to happen. She is now waiting for a particular moment also. And Vyasa says, Muhurtam, Kshanam, Velam, Divasam. From the moment, from the hour, from the time, from the day, everything is specified. The day, the time, hour, Kshana, Muhurta, moment, when it is going to happen. She is counting every bit of time element. Now it is going to happen. Now it is going to happen. She sees Satyavan in great trouble. She takes him in her lap and she is counting the time and date and kshana, muhurta, that moment. Yes, yes, now it is going to happen. You will count it. And exactly at that moment, Yama, death, appears in front of her. Exact. At 12 noon. That is what we are saying. At 12 noon, he appears in front of her. And the death occurs at 12 noon on that fated day. So she is counting every bit of it, very consciously, very carefully. She has prepared herself fully for that eventuality. At this moment, it must happen. And this has happened. So, when he says now, this day returning, Satyavan must die, he has already told her, look, Savitri, this is a time span in which you have to prepare yourself to meet the eventuality and be ready to face death on this particular day, at this particular hour, at this particular moment. He has already told. I mean, there is that degree of specificity in his giving instructions to her. That is how it should happen. A lightning bright and new, the sentence fell. Obviously, who is going to accept this thing? You see? And Savitri's mother, but then cried the queen. Savitri's mother is in terrible anguish. She's going to accuse heaven. What kind of God is this?
Question.
Yeah.
So why doesn't Narad give Savitri, besides the time, also other instructions? Like, she has no idea what will happen. She only knows now, okay.
It's not necessary. It is indirectly given.
Indirectly.
Yeah. When he's communicating, when he's saying that, he's already putting his force in her soul. Oh, yes, of course. To steal the will of Savitri.
To steal the will to face death.
Yes.
To overcome death. But nowhere you can.
She will get necessary guidance. She did not be told anything more explicitly than that. She will get at every moment what she has to do. That's the beauty of it. At every moment she will get necessary guidance. Do this, do this, do this. Her yoga proceeds like that. Her yoga proceeds like that, you see. At every moment, he has done his job. He has put his soul's force in her. And it will take care of it now. His job is done. Job is done. And to the degree of specificity. You see, that is the important thing. He says first year, then he says month, then he says day, and of course he says hour. This bright hour. He says everything is absolutely specified.
She knows how much time she has.
Yeah. In the occult sense, it is important. In the occult working, this knowledge is important. In the occult working, you see. See, there are many other aspects which he need not tell at this point. He need not tell it all, but they will unfold. This bright hour is a very crucial phrase, very powerful phrase.